This is Boston G.B.R. in front of the Valdosta City School Board of Education building. Just a few weeks ago, we had Minister Floyd Rose, president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, talk about the issues here at the School Board of Education. And I'm here to say, how you doing, my beautiful brother? Good, thank you. That is former Superintendent Bill Kaysen, who I've learned to gather respect from over the years. But we are here because, as I said earlier, Reverend Floyd Rose, president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, stood at this meeting and he talked about the disparity of blacks being in positions of authority at this particular school in a population that is majority black. We also heard former NAACP President Lee Touchton talk along the lines of diversity and the need that little white children need to see blacks in positions of power, as well as blacks being in a position of power so their children could see them in a position of authority. And of course, John Robertson talked about the economics of building the schools and the roads, and that economics, or the lack thereof, also contributed to the crime rate and the incarceration of black African Americans' children. He also talked about it related to the dropout rate. I stood before the council and I talked about how we have had tensions in this community since 1975, when I was stationed at Moody Air Force Base and police cars were lined up out here, and we still have the same problems. Others stood before this particular board over the last few weeks, but nothing was reported in the Valdosta Daily Times. And of course, you know that Valdosta Times is the only local newspaper we have, unlike America's Georgia, a little small country town, but yet it has from 5 to 8 newspapers. And it is as if though here in Valdosta, Georgia, that the old 1860 charter is alive and well, which means, or which stated in section 100, paragraph 11, that the mayor and council shall pass all proper and necessary laws and ordinances for the control of slaves and free persons of color, and to control, suppress, and abate all nuisances arising from hogs, dogs, horses, and other livestock in Valdosta. Now, if all of this information was discussed at the Valdosta City School Board of Education, and by the way, this is no negative reflection upon the school board when it comes through the dissemination or the lack thereof of sending this information out to the general public. But the general public knew absolutely nothing that took place at this public meeting in the state of Georgia. The newspaper, television, and radio act as if though you, the general public, you in Atlanta, you across the nation, didn't even want to know about it, when it directly impacts whether your son or your daughter would go to jail or receive a quality education as any upright citizen in the United States of America would expect. Now, look, at Valdosta City Council meeting, these same individuals stood up and told Mayor John Gale, Councilman Wright, Councilman Yotes, Councilman White, the city manager, Councilman Payton, Councilman Norton, Councilman Carroll, and Councilman Vickers, along with all the 67 people that was in attendance, told them that there is something wrong in Valdosta, seriously wrong, and that the at-large voting game that is being played is to weaken the black vote. So blacks will never be in a power to actually be in a position to decide whether there's any blacks in the Valdosta School Board Administration section in the front office for our children to see. Or if anybody would be or oversee the fact that on the first floor of City Hall, some pictures, and I do mean pictures, some pictures would be reflective of the black African American work that they did to help build this city and county. as it is of this day, only the Tuskegee Airmen, which they put up there recently, is a representation of any buildings or other little human beings that represent from the black community that our children know when they come from all the various schools, when they come from overseas and visit this public building, that they can see that Valdosta is a diverse community and that we all contributed to this